A man goes into a company with gasoline and tells them to leave. They don't listen as he starts smashing the head of a person with a telephone until he starts bleeding. The movie starts with a beekeeper named Adam Clay with his bees. He takes out a defect hive and goes to destroy it. He meets his landlord and also his neighbor named Eloise, and she asks him to come for supper. Eloise has a problem with her computer and it asks her to call for a support company. She calls and they mistakenly send money into her account. They then ask the innocent woman to send their money back to them. She sends the money and her laptop goes blank. It comes back on and all her charity funds, life savings, and retirement funds have all been taken away. They turn out to be a fishing company. Clay packs honey in a jar and goes to Eloise's house. He knocks on the door but she doesn't respond. Clay goes inside and picks a kitchen knife. He sees that Eloise had committed suicide and is dead. Verona, Eloise's daughter who is a cop, comes into the house. She handcuffs Clay and takes him down. The police comes and Clay explains the situation to them. Verona on the other hand still suspects Clay as the murderer. Clay is brought back and said to be innocent. Verona apologizes and talks with Clay. She tells Clay that her mom was a victim of fraud and that was why she killed herself. Clay calls an office to ask for information on the fishing company. Clay is called back and he listens to the information. He goes to the company and meets two guards in the front. He says he is there to take down the company and one of the guards tries to take out his gun. Clay takes the gun and knocks the two guards out. He goes inside the building and uses a telephone to repeatedly strike the head of one guy. He starts spilling gasoline on the ground and the rest of the workers starts to run outside. The branch manager comes with more guys and he tells them to attack Clay. Clay uses the office chair to make the guards come at him one after the other. He hits the first person and uses his head to hit the desk. The next person comes and Clay dodges a blow. He uses a weapon to hit his attacker's neck as he moves towards the branch manager. The last guard attacks him and gets beaten to a pulp. Clay sets an explosive and the branch manager runs outside. Clay drives his car away as we see the building exploding. The branch manager calls his boss named Derek. He tells everything to Derek and Derek asks the branch manager to find Clay. Derek goes to Wallace, the boss of the FBI, and asks him for help in finding Clay. We see that Verona has been called to the burning building. The branch manager and his boys are also seen in Clay's compound. They get to his beehives and utterly destroy it. They get inside and pulls down his honey and the jars break into pieces. Clay uses a chain to strangle one of the guys quietly. He uses a gun to block the mouth of the other before breaking his neck. He disassembles the gun of another and he uses one of the parts to stab his neck. The branch manager sees dead bodies and starts to get scared. Clay catches his hand and puts it under a cutting machine. The machine cuts the fingers of the branch manager and he cries. Verona and her partner named Matt are called to the scene at Verona's mother's house. They get there and they suspect that Clay was the one responsible for the fire at the company and the dead bodies in the house. We see that the branch manager has called Derek. Derek talks to the manager when Clay punches him. Clay uses a strap to tie the branch manager as he tells him not to move. He ties the strap to a car and drives it into the sea. This sends the helpless manager along with the car. Clay takes the phone and talks to Derek when Derek disrespects him. Clay hangs up and leaves. Derek goes to Wallace for help and tells him everything that transpired. Wallace calls a lady and tells her that the retired beekeeper is going around killing people. The lady decides to help and Wallace is relieved. Matt tells Verona that he couldn't find any information on Clay since he believes Clay's information is classified. Clay is part of a government project called the Beekeeper. The Beekeepers are agents that are sent to kill corrupt officials and any other people dangerous to justice and the development of the country. Clay is seen getting gas. He sits in his car when a female beekeeper uses her car to hit Clay's. They get out and both beekeepers have a fight. The female shoots a machine gun at Clay when Clay uses a honey jar to hit her head. He sets her on fire and the gas station explodes. The head of the beekeepers tell Wallace that they cannot help him. Verona comes to the scene and tracks where Clay is going to strike next. With the fingers of the female beekeeper, Clay is able to access vast information. Verona explains the situation to the Secretary General and he plans to give her what she needs. Wallace talks to a private security about Clay and they get ready to kill him. We see the soldiers come into the building getting ready for Clay. The private security sacks them saying they do not have a permit. Clay comes to the soldiers and talks to them. They try to detain him when beats the first person that holds him. He uses a trapping technique to hit one soldier's hand away and takes control of his gun. He shoots the vest of the soldiers to knock them out. The other branch manager of the place Clay is seen talking. Clay hits and throws one of the workers over the table. He runs away and waits to ambush the private security. He takes control of an attacker's gun and uses it to shoot the rest. He is left with one person with an axe. The attacker swings the axe when Clay dodges and counters at the same time. The attacker swings again when Clay counters the attack. Clay uses a fire extinguisher on the attacker, knocking him out. Verona and Matt come to the scene. Some more private security go inside the elevator. They hear Clay above them and they start shooting. They stop when Clay activates the explosives that takes the elevator down. Some guards that manage to escape are pulled back by a wire and they also die. Clay causes pain to the branch manager until he tells him that the money from the fishing business goes to the President of the United States. Verona comes and Clay tells her that the people in the building are directly responsible for her mother's death. Matt goes to find Clay. He meets Clay and is taken down. He says he has 4 kids and Clay destroys the gun, leaving him alive. Verona comes and helps Matt up. Verona tells the issue to the Secretary General and he places a military protection on the President. Wallace and Derek call the President named Jessica and asks to be with her for a vacation. Clay is seen trying to use a back door to enter the White House. The guards go to check the under part of the car and Clay knocks him out. He takes the guard's uniform and blends in. He changes into a suit and Verona sees him. Derek's mother calls him to meet the Secretary General and they talk about what Derek had been doing. Verona alerts the other guards and catches Clay. The person turns around and we see that Verona has the wrong person. Lazarus, the leader of Wallace's men, surrounds Clay and make him get on his knees. Verona prevents them from shooting him when an explosion occurs. Clay takes a gun and shoots Wallace's men. He meets 2 guys and beat them up. One guy attacks with a knife and Clay stabs him with it. Clay fights the SWAT team on the stairs as he climbs it. He throws the last one off the stairs and he falls. Clay meets Lazarus and they have a fight. Lazarus uses Clay to hit the glass as he stabs him in the ribs. Clay manages to take the knife and stabs Lazarus in the hand. He uses a metal knuckle to hit Lazarus in the face. He then stabs him in the neck, killing him. Clay meets Wallace and shoves him aside. Derek shoots the Secretary General and takes his mom as hostage. Clay enters and Verona comes in. Clay shoots Derek and jumps out of the window. Verona stops him and Clay looks at her. Verona puts her gun down and Clay jumps down a wall. He puts on his dress and dives into the sea, leaving the island. Like and subscribe to watch the next recap.